Okay, welcome. Chris here with the trades. Looking at six plays, six stocks for the week ahead. Looking at six longs. Going to get into those in just a minute. We're looking here at SPY. As we can see, SPY's been on the move up. And I would say, just looking at the market, it looks like we're ready for a downturn, really. I mean, we've run straight up. And you can see here on the stochastic, we are way up. We are up at 100. We should be looking for a downturn here. That's what I would be thinking on the overall market structure. And you take a look at the VIX as well. It's come down to this level where we found some support last time and spiked up. Here, this is coming down. It would seem that very likely that we'd see another bounce back up on the VIX, which would be in turn a move down on SPY. So we'll see where we open. We got some moving averages down here, the 5 and the 9. The SPY did sell off at the end of the day in the after hours on Friday. So we'll see where it opens. I could see it, bumping its head up onto one of these resistance levels here. If it opened below some of these, even below yesterday's or Friday's close, certainly hitting its head up there and coming back down on any one of these levels. But let's get into it. So the first one I'm looking at here is Berkshire. Okay, and I should say the way I'm evaluating this is first I'm looking at stocks that are good, looking good for long-term holds in the sense that they have strong fundamentals and they're looking good for buy and holds. These are opportunities, stocks that look like they should be moving up in price, should be improving their stock price. So that's the first criteria. Looking at stocks first that have good fundamentals, looking good for long-term holds, because what I'm looking at is swing trades long. I'm trying to capture short-term moves, maybe even semi-long-term moves, just moves that are happening in the next immediate future for a strong stock. And what I'm looking for a strong stock that's now relaxed in price, that's come down into a level of support, which is what we see here on Berkshire. As you can see, last week it moved down, found some support around this area here. And the chart would be indicating that we should be moving back up. And of course, we did. Down here on the stochastic, we're down super duper low, just like we found a low down here. And of course, that was a low and a bounce back up. Looking like that's what's going to happen here. At least it wants to. Stocks moved up in the last 2 days. Thursday, Friday, a nice push. Looking for a continuation long. Now, risk wise, see where we open on Monday, but down to this level here on this green section of the chart, about 4.5%. That's not so bad. Looking for a move up into highs and to break highs somewhere in the 5% range would be the move. So if it keeps coming down any lower than that, I'd probably be looking to get out and not try to just keep taking shots at it and adding in. I'd be adding into this level here, where my cursor is at 492.5, adding into about that level. But I think here, just looking at the chart, it would seem as though we should start moving back up into these levels here, where we start taking profit. So that's what I'm looking at here on Berkshire. Next one I'm looking at is StoneCo. Okay, this one has been moving up really nice lately. The question is it going to continue to find some support here and move and continue on its trend up? Earnings, you can see, looking good. Stochastic is down at a low point, a point where we could potentially be looking to buy when we find some support, which this area here would be where the support is. However, the risk is wide on this one. If you take it down to here, which I'd be reluctant to do, that's a 10% risk. That's quite a bit. I think what I'm going to be looking at here is if it wants to come down to this level here and test these lows, right, into this level here, this low, I'd be a buyer into that level, into about 12.75. You see there's a gap here. If it breaks below this gap, I'd be looking to get out. In fact, if it breaks much below this point here, where I'm pointing on the chart, I'd be looking to get out and see if it wants to retest this gap, and then start in around this level here, around the 12.28, and then use this level here as a risk amount, and that's pretty good. The risk from this gap down to this level here, it's only 3%, and then we're looking to see if it wants to move back up. Now, if it did do that, the stochastic would be super low, way low, and that would be supporting our notion and agree, our sort of concept that it should bounce and move back up. Okay, next on the list is GDX, Gold Miners Trust. Okay, gold, looking real good. I mean, I've been a buyer for into gold, just averaging in for a while. But if you take a look at this, look, it closed here. It did move back up. It found some support, and on Friday it opened here and pushed up. It's a red candle, but that's only because it ended up closing below the previous day's high. It's a red candle, but it didn't open here and move down. No, it didn't do that. It opened down here and moved up. As you can see, look, that's the ending price, 46.33, top of that candle. So it's a little deceiving. Nevertheless, taking a look at risk, we start here from Friday's close down to here, about 4.5, 4.25%, looking good. And we look at it to capture the move up if it wants to keep moving up. And up into this level here, 8, 9%, 10% into highs, 13, 14 even. Be looking to capture a move up into this level, short term wise. So I'm liking GDX very much. Looks good. Next on the list, HII, Huntington Ingersolls. Here we are. This one here, this is sort of like the STNE, the Stone Co. In that it's already moved up. Berkshire too, and it's already started to move up. So the risk is wide, 9% down to this level of support, a little wide. But that's where the level of support is, and you can see it. It makes sense. These are highs here, some lows here, all in the same area, in the same range. So I think what I'm going to be doing here is seeing where we open on Friday, but I'm going to be looking at taking this down to about here, right into this volume here, all into here. This is about 4.5%. We got lows back here. If it breaks much below that, it might get hung up here. It's true, but I'd probably be looking just to stop out and reset down at lows again, or into these highs here, somewhere in here. It might just not be worth it to just hold all the way down into here. But looking at this chart, it looks like it's ready to move back up. So I'll be looking to capture a move up into highs for sure, 3% and maybe even further along. We'll see where it wants to go. Next, we're looking at Universal. Okay, Universal's looking good. Again, very similar. Found some support down here. It's moved up the last few days, looking like it wants to maybe continue up into that trend. So this one isn't quite exactly the way my strategy works, but just capturing this trend could be advantageous. Up into here, 4 or 5%. The risk, not so bad, about 5%. Be a buyer for sure into this level here. And I probably just want to sit tight and wait and see what happens. If it wants to come all the way down here, maybe add one more time. Because we see we've got a lot of support back here. Okay, that was going to turn into, well, it's resistance earlier, but it's going to turn into support. That's why this graph is situated the way it is. That's why we have this line here from all this volume and all this resistance now support. So to reiterate, I'm looking to capture this move up. I'm looking for it to open and keep running. Okay, but once it come back down here, I'm gonna get a little nervous. Probably be a buyer, like I said, into this level, and then maybe one more time into this level here if it wants to hit. But if it wants to break and go beyond that, I'm definitely getting out. And last one on the list is HUYA, however you pronounce this, I do not know. But again, looking to see where it opens on Monday. Friday's close here, down to this level. Again, big time, 10%. It's a lot of risk. That's still a lot of room on the stochastic to come down. So I wouldn't necessarily just jump right in on Monday on this one, or even Tuesday. I'm going to wait and see what happens. If it wants to come down, start testing these levels down here. Okay, yeah, probably be a buyer down into this low, and certainly down one more time into this level here. But I wouldn't be firing at it and taking ads all the way down. I'd be very cautious, moving slow, keeping my size small, maybe getting bigger on the size as it moves down into this level of support, and see where it wants to go. Certainly, it's got more room to run, right? I mean, look up into highs here at 6%. It's a nice deal. If it wants to push, hold and push, and then all-time highs up, 25% nearly. So that's what I'm looking at here for the week ahead. Not a huge number of stocks here. The market's been all over the place. These are just the 6 that fit my criteria and the ones I'm looking at for next week. Happy trading.